And McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Monday, February 9th, 7 a.m. right here on Jocks. Glad you're with us. The 2025 football season now comes to a close as Super Bowl 60 wraps up last night. 29-13, Seahawks get the win over the Patriots. Both teams finished 14-3 on the year. Seahawks finished with 10 straight wins. An impressive performance by that Seattle defense. 7 sacks in the game. They got a touchdown. Did not allow for New England to get much going offensively at all. That led to a lot of folks saying that the quality of game wasn't there. It was a boring game. The halftime, well, a lot around that. You like it, hate it, love it. It was what it was. And the commercials, I did not think lived up to the expectations either. So was Super Bowl Sunday a dud, Greg?
A little bit, yeah. Yep.
Half dud?
A little bit.
Quarter dud.
Big dud on the field. Ultimately, I don't care that much about this. The halftime performance, the commercials, that's all bonus. Then the final, I told Meredith this morning, it's like, I'm always a little depressed after the Super Bowl to begin with.
Of course.
My level of depression goes up tenfold when the game is not very entertaining. It was an underwhelming game. And you and I talked about it a little bit already in the pre-show. It's like there were aspects of the game that were impressive defensively from Seattle, but there were every bit as many aspects of being super underwhelmed by New England offensively.
No doubt.
Balancing that is a difficult thing to balance. So is it great defense or is it bad offense? I think it was a lot of bad offense coupled with a little bit of great defense, and that's what led to me being a little underwhelmed yesterday.
Sam Darnold, 19 of 38, 202 yards passing, a touchdown, no interceptions. Kenneth Walker goes 27 carries, 135 yards. He gets the MVP. I actually think his run late that was called back for a touchdown probably assisted in that. I don't know who else you were going to give it to. Don't say it. Don't even say it, because Jason Myers is not getting the MVP.
No shot.
5 for 5, 2 for 2 extra points. I get it. 17 points, most ever in a Super Bowl. You're not giving the MVP to a kicker.
No. Not when he didn't even hit any super long field goals. It was Kenneth Walker from the get-go.
And Kenneth Walker, he added 2 receptions for another 26 yards, had a 29-yard run early, a 30-yard run early. I didn't think it was in question, and then a lot of folks started talking about, seeing a lot of people tweeting about the kicker maybe going to. I'm just like, no, come on, guys, we're not doing that. That can't happen. Drake May, 27 of 43, 295. Some of that late with a couple of drives, just trying to play catch up. 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He was sacked 7 times, lost a fumble. It was ugly for the New England front offensive line. It was ugly for anybody really who helped in pass protection. Our nation's epidemic continues as the Patriots allow multiple sacks on slide protection, unable to pick up pressures. And it was just ugly. Both quarterbacks missed some wide open throws. It looked like layups. Now, one was Sam Darnold. That was a scramble drill, kind of up over the top where, I imagine that's a little more difficult, but geez, you float that thing. There's nobody out there.
Yeah.
So there were parts of it that were tough to watch.
Yes.
There were. I can't. Usually when we get a game that is great defense and maybe offenses go a little conservative, trying to grind out yards, things of that nature, you can make some excuses around it. There was a lot of that was ugly football last night.
No doubt.
You give Seattle's defense a ton of credit. And listen, give some guys on New England, like Christian Gonzalez played incredible football.
Mm-hmm.
He had 2 of the better pass deflections that you'll see in any game.
He played great. Josh Jobe played great. There was some good individual performances, no doubt.
Well, no, and it was cool to see Derek Hall have a big game. Josh Jobe had a nice game. Jaron Reed did some really good things inside. It was cool to hear Anthony Jennings' name called a couple times. Some guys that we've watched at Alabama and Auburn for a long time. Yep. They made some plays last night, get some good things. But Mike McDonald, 38 years old, 227 days, the 3rd youngest coach to win a Super Bowl. And I think maybe this, more than a lot of other things, it had me thinking after the game, Greg, is just we are in such an interesting time as it pertains to NFL head coaches right now. What it takes, what you need to be, because we feel like we have a lot of that pinned in college football, and it's changed right now with the portal and what's going on with recruiting and NIL and the whole deal. And what is the blueprint for the NFL head coach right now? It has felt like, okay, get the young offensive play caller for a while.
Yeah.
Now Seattle has gone from the old defensive coach to the young defensive coach, and they have this blueprint to be able to go get their 2nd Super Bowl title.
Well, I think that I'm not sure there is a blueprint now to go and this is the coach we need. This is the style of coach we need. I think it's very much situationally dependent. Here's what I will say about just football in general. One, you and I, we've had this conversation before. The game has become a little more athletic, which means a little less scheme, which means it's a little less thinking. Like you guys can win with athleticism now. So you don't see as much. I'm talking offensively. You don't see as much like, all right, we're gonna absolutely work you in the pre-snap with this adjustment. We're gonna set this mic point here. We're gonna pick this up to the right-hand side. Like there's not as much in the pre-snap. It's like, hey, if all goes to heck in a handbasket, just run around and make a play, which is great. But I think that when you have a veteran quarterback like Darnold, you have a little more of that. And I think Darnold understands at this point of his career what he's asked to do, what he needs to do. He's going to be fine. He's going to make a couple good throws. They're going to lean on the run game. Kenneth Walker's been amazing. But I do think if there's one thing we've learned in college and in the NFL is that for a while it felt like offense was kind of coming to the forefront. Now I think it's coming back around, and maybe defense is kind of coming to the forefront a little bit. I'm not suggesting it's going to be, we're going to see championship games that are going to be 9-7, but Indiana had top 5 group. Miami had top 5 group. The Patriots and the Seahawks both had top 5 groups. Like having a top 5 defense nowadays, hard to do, but that might ultimately be what wins you some championships.
Absolutely. So it was an interesting game because of, I guess it felt like it was a little bit closer, or the scoreboard indicated it was a little bit closer than it felt like it was for a lot of it. It didn't, I don't know how many drives it took for you, but it wasn't very many that I just felt like New England wasn't getting back in that game.
No.
And you saw the stretch play for Seattle go to a certain extent early, and you kind of thought, all right, they're just going to sit on this for a little while. They're already getting the edges. That's going to open a lot up. Then play action became pretty big for Seattle. You got a touchdown off play action, little corner route, and it was I thought it was a great plan for Seattle, both offensively, defensively. You discussed it with me before the show. It's not like it was overly complicated. It was just you found a couple of things. It felt to me, Seattle went in this game and said, listen, this is a young offensive line. They got 2 rookies on the left side.
Yeah.
We feel like if we overload some things, if we maybe move our front around a little bit, but just give them similar pressures so our coverage isn't going to change a whole lot. We got guys that can play man. We feel like we can tackle outside okay. Let's just attack and see if we can get to them and be problematic, and they did. And that was about it. And New England was able to find some pressure of their own, couldn't slow the run down consistently, blew a couple coverages, and that ended up being the game. You get a defensive score as well. And, I mean, I think the longest rush in the game for New England was Darnold's 19-yard scramble. Was their longest run play of the game?
Drake May late in the game. Yeah, that was the longest run of the game by a mile. I think the longest beyond that was like 6 or 7 yards.
Which is just you're not going to win a lot of football games that way.
New England's O-line got their tail kicked.
They didn't play well.
I mean, and that's a group that I've watched a few times this year, and they can run it. Like first couple plays, they run duo with Ramondre Stevenson, just dent the front. I mean, there were some things to like about what I saw early, and they didn't really stay committed to it.
No.
And look, say what you want about Drake May missing throws, like it wasn't pretty. He was getting hit. The secondary was amazing. New England just doesn't have enough weapons. I mean, you can tell me all day long that Stephon Diggs is still number 1. I think you're absolutely nuts. You can tell me that Kayshon Boutte is a number 1. I don't see it that way.
Well, he was a lot better than what I think he was even drafted as or obtained as.
100%. He's like a 6th round pick. But I mean, they need more weapons for Drake May. Like if I'm in there in the back end of the first round, like I got to go get some guys at wide receiver.
Well, you talked about Imanawari and Josh Jobe. You go back and watch a couple of those pressures, and there were a couple I was rewinding and talking to my 8-year-old about, and he's like, man, your quarterback's got to get rid of it. And I'm like, all right, bud. I'd rewind it. Like, show me where he's going to go. I mean, there's nobody open. You can talk about throwing underneath. You can talk about like you said, NFL's about separation, winning one-on-ones, winning matchups. There were not a lot of targets that were open for New England last night. There were not. There weren't a lot of places to go. And then when that's the case, you got to have a little bit of extra time, try to wait, maybe find something, create something. And the Seattle pass rush wasn't going to let that happen. That was not going to take place. That group was nasty. That group they won one-on-ones. They won with X's and O's. They won with overloads. They won a lot of different ways. And it was an impressive performance for that defense, and one that I don't think people really have an appreciation for how good they've been this year. Seattle, by the way, the coolest story that we're probably not spending time on yet that we need to is Sam Darnold. I mean, a guy drafted high by the Jets. It didn't work out. Then he literally becomes a journeyman over the next 2-3 years. He ends up in Seattle. And, I mean, listen, he still turned the ball over a lot this year. You can't deny that. You can't get away from that. However, we just witnessed the first Super Bowl champion to not turn the football over the entire postseason. I mean, it's impressive what he has turned into inside what they need him to be, and also based on what everybody else thought he was when they got him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty cool redemption story with what Sam Darnold just pulled off.
It might be the coolest story of the entire Super Bowl. And I think it's just phenomenal. And look, to me, we get a little bit too enamored, and maybe this comes from a place of sensitivity. We get a little too enamored with the flash. We get a little too enamored with the, here's what we've done, here's what we've accomplished, all this other stuff. Like, all that's great. Sam Darnold knows what it takes to win at this point of his career. Like, he knows he's probably not going to be an MVP candidate. Like, maybe he is for a 6 or 7 game stretch. Maybe he gets hot. Maybe he does. I mean, a lot of people didn't think Stafford was going to win the MVP, and sure enough, now he's won it. But I think Darnold kind of showed that it's okay to take a back seat again. And that's very rare nowadays, I feel like, at high level NFL and college football. Like, the quarterback is so much a part of the equation, and so much is put on his shoulders. And while there's still a lot on Sam Darnold's shoulders, you're the quarterback, still touch the ball on every play. It's not often we see a genuine game manager now winning Super Bowls. How often have we said, oh, you got to have a guy like Josh Allen? You got to have a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Like, you're never going to win if you don't have a guy like that. How often have we said that?
Every year.
Every year. And that's not necessarily true. And that's, I think, gives a lot of teams hope, because there's only 2 of those guys that can go out there and get it done.
Yeah. It feels like a different blueprint to an extent for Seattle. And that's just, first off, lean on the line of scrimmage. They've drafted up front on offense and defense recently. They've drafted big. They've drafted physicality. They've gone and obtained pieces that are going to help them in the run game, both stopping it and creating it. And then, like you said, maybe find a couple of pieces that take a little bit of a back seat to those around them. Some being out in the secondary that, okay, we can allow you to play the run differently because we can cover flat out.
Yeah.
That's why we talked about that injury to Eamon Awori and what it was going to mean if he wasn't going to be 100% or able to go. And all of a sudden, here they come. And they win a Super Bowl. Second Super Bowl title for the Seahawks. It was the first scoreless team through 3 quarters of the Super Bowl since 1974. That was the Patriots. It was the second Super Bowl all-time with 0 touchdowns through 3 quarters combined. So, yes, there were parts of this game that just flat out were not very exciting, did not add a lot from a dynamic nature of getting people involved and getting people off their sofas. So, I mean, this is, like I said, Seattle, a heck of a run. They won 10 straight, first Super Bowl champion with 0 turnovers throughout the postseason, second longest winning streak for the franchise currently they're sitting on right now. So, a hell of a season for the Seahawks. Greg, they trailed for 1 minute and 35 seconds the entire postseason.
It's crazy.
I mean, game control, we hear about that a lot, and kind of what that is, what that means. Well, Seattle kind of epitomized it through this postseason. That's the lowest since 1991, by the way. And think about it, they're playing extra playoff games.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild to think about.
Who did they play the first round? Remind me.
Seattle in the first round. Who
they
get?
Played,
Help me.
They played San Fran. They played San Fran.
Yeah, San Francisco, L.A., and then New England.
Yeah.
So it's an impressive run, and it's pretty cool to see what they pulled off. We will get to the ads. We'll get to halftime throughout the course of the show. All of it, we'll get your feedback on it. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. Text in 205-834-9450. Football season for 2025 has ended. even though we are now in 2026, obviously. And you're going to have to wait until March 27th until you get live tackle football again. That will be kickoff of the UFL with Birmingham at Louisville that night, Friday night on Fox. And so spring football then kicks off there. We will be a part of that, and we'll cover that for you here on the show. There is a lot happening in college football, by the way. There are some programs looking to make some pretty big jumps. We'll talk about that throughout the course of the show today. We'll visit Paul Feinbaum here in just a moment. Richard Hendricks recaps Alabama's win in Auburn on the hardwood over the weekend at 9:30 today. You'll have to wait for Richard to hear what he says about Alabama's comeback win, but one thing you never have to wait for, GMAC, is your dental care.
That's because Family Care Dental has you taken care of to the urgent care office. You can be seen the same day in several locations to make it easy on you. Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and Trustful. They can get you on Fridays and Saturdays, and they can help you with routine care. They can also help you with emergency care. So give them a call today at Family Care Dental. It's 874-9605. That's 874-9605.
Paul Feinbaum joins us to discuss where college football is headed next, right here on Jogs. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It's 7:19, Monday, February 9th, right here on Jocks. You can see him on ESPN, the SEC Network. Hear him weekdays, 2 to 6 p.m. right here on Jocks. Joins us every week thanks to our friends at Craneworks. It's Paul Feinbaum.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, crane works, rental works, yeah, the big dog's got it.
Paul Feinbaum on Mac and Cube in the Morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it, the big dog's got it. Now, Paul Feinbaum.
Paul, always great to have you in on a Monday morning. I'm interested to get your thoughts as far as where we are heading with big-time college football and what you're hearing about the finances at certain universities. It's specifically more interesting to hear about a couple of smaller schools over the weekend that are looking to make the jump to FBS, but we get more news that UCLA had a $21.5 million deficit. We heard about Rutgers, amongst others, Penn State, stadium renovation there, but that's not the only reason that they're showing up with a deficit for the last fiscal year. What does this tell you? Does this change anything about your viewpoint of maybe where we're headed with big-time athletics, big-time college football?
Well, private equity is at the door, as both of you know. They are knocking on the door outside, and at some places they will get in. I think the real question is, where and how. And we saw some of that at Utah a couple of months ago, which may have led to Kyle Whittingham saying, "I've had enough." But I mean, there's so much money out there, and these are smart people. Cole, had the opportunity to talk to some of the top ones, as I know you probably have. And they feel as if overall college football is terribly undervalued, and I'm sure they are correct to a point. And what they want to do on a macro level is consolidate the entire sport under one roof and have the Wall Street Sharpies manage the TV aspect and take a share, and everybody else will get rich. But I just don't think the traditional conferences, of which we talk about every day here, are overly excited about yielding that type of power and influence. So I think it's a slow go. It will happen in some places. I don't think it will happen here yet.
Paul, we've talked for a while about college football and our avoidance of the NFL, and I thought last night was a perfect example, which that game was unwatchable in many ways. If you're not like a true diehard like football enthusiast, it was a hard watch. Even for Cole and I, who are watching the XO, it's a hard watch. I feel like the door is open for college football to make a move and to encroach a little bit on the NFL. But I'm curious if you think that's a losing battle. Can college football go toe-to-toe with the NFL as far as our playoff against theirs? And would we stand a fighting chance if we stop avoiding them from a scheduling standpoint?
Yeah, I think we would, Greg. And the situation, I think it's next year with the New Year's Eve game. I think it's ridiculous to play a game. I think it's on either Wednesday night and skip Thursday, then come back Friday, or Thursday to Saturday. There's no continuity there. And by the way, you don't know what just like last night. If college football had a really good game on opposite that, it would have still been destroyed. But you're talking about it could have still drawn a good audience. And I think we're basically just saying we're not going to, let's not even deal with it. We're only talking about one game. It's not like putting an Alabama South Carolina game on a Sunday afternoon opposite 12 other regional games. People watch games because they're interesting. And if I listen, I think I speak for the entire audience. If there had been a choice last night, we would have all gone there because at a certain point, you knew that game was never going to be interesting. And it's pretty obvious. 5 million people went elsewhere at halftime. That's not a bad number for. I mean, the odds of moving anybody out of a Super Bowl audience is almost infinitesimal, because that's not a normal. Let me see what else is on. There's nothing else on, and besides, you're watching the commercials for the only time all year. So, Greg, I completely agree. I think it's worth it, and I think we should quit running away.
When you hear commentary coming out of certain athletic departments, specifically in the SEC, about self-governance moving forward, if one of these big moves is made, I don't know how real you expect that to be. I don't know if you felt like that was with some sarcasm. Could that ever be real, that the largest portion of college athletics, specifically football, be self-governed by the conferences themselves? I
mean, I think in the traditional sense, no, but we don't have traditional enforcement anymore. And the odds of anyone ever doing what the NCAA did 25, 30, 40 years ago are over. And quite frankly, it's a good idea because some of the isolated and the enforcement that we have seen, some of it directed toward Alabama 25 years ago, it was frankly wrong and borderline criminal. What I think we need are the coaches to police themselves, and I think they'll do a better job. You get those 16 coaches in a room a couple of times a year, and they know who's on the line, who's veering right over the line, and who is shattering it. And I think they're our best bet. And I'll try to avoid getting into any other sport here unless you guys want to, but I think that's one reason why there's such a tug of war right now on the basketball front, because you have even though everybody's doing it, you have this is a case, the Bediako, it was a case where it just stood out to be more egregious than even the normal cheating.
Paul, as you survey and kind of look at the off season so far, you referenced the basketball world, and I do feel like basketball has been really healthy and really good for the SEC in general. But I do wonder if at what point the basketball, while still important, they'll start to slide back a little bit more towards football being a priority and doing whatever it takes to make football great. Whereas basketball could be an unintended to be affected by the amount of resources the football gets. Do you think we're going to see a tug of war at SEC schools between basketball and football? Is that something that's realistic?
I don't think so, because they're so disproportionate. And that line was crossed, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago when the ACC finally decided we need to start concentrating on the sport that most money, not the one that thinks it is. And football is just too big. I think we saw last year was a little bit aberrational in basketball to get 14 schools in the tournament. I mean, there will be a lot of schools. There may be 9 or 10 this year. They're just not the high quality where last year you had 4 SEC schools playing for a shot at the Final Four in Elite 8 games. Football is still the king. It will, I believe, it will always be, because that's just the way. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not insulting basketball fans. Basketball has certainly been given its due in the SEC, but it's just there's just no comparison to what football can bring in across, literally from affecting your university's admissions all the way down.
Paul, you mentioned the Charles Bediako case and kind of what's happening there. Were you surprised to hear what Commissioner Sankey's involvement with it that Ross Dellinger released on Friday?
I was, but I think when you peel it back a little bit, you understand. How many times on this program has some fan called in and said, "When is somebody going to do something about this?" And I think in this particular case, the commissioner did something, and what I'm about to say is no surprise to you two, but maybe to some of the audience. The commissioner of the SEC does not just wade into shark-infested waters without a great deal of thought and support. I can tell you, he had the support of 15 of the 16 SEC presidents before he did that. And I think he felt like this was a moment to be heard. And, I can only give my opinion, but I am somewhat surprised by a lot of my friends, both who call on this show and who support Alabama, and in particular, some of the media whose nasty comments and personal comments toward the commissioner have really just been outrageous. He is doing his job. He is representing the conference. And the fact that Alabama may come on the short end of this is just a casualty of the job. And I don't know what the judge is going to do. I assume he'll do it today. And it is an important ruling, but I still feel like the commissioner acted correctly and appropriately.
I'm assuming the one president not on board would be in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet heavily on that one.
Got it. Noted. All right, Paul. Always appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to catching up next week.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
Paul Feinbaum joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's with us every week, thanks to our friends at Craneworks. We'll take a little bit of Paul said there, come back, react to it, and then get to the rest of Super Bowl 60. commercials a letdown? Were there some underrated wins? We discuss a little bit of the other parts of last night's Super Bowl next, right here on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Monday, February 9th, 7:33 a.m. right here on Jocks. Your turn to chime in on the Super Bowl. It's been our first segment of the show discussing it, talking about it, kind of where it was, what it was from a game XO perspective. Not super exciting. Easy to get bored a little bit. Halftime show we'll discuss in a few moments. 800-239-9569. 800-239-WJOX. Also, the commercials, which I thought were potentially even more of a letdown. And I personally would not say halftime show letdown. I thought the choreography set, the way it was all put together, was actually pretty cool. But I knew maybe 2-3 of the songs.
Yeah.
But I thought to go that direction, you're tuning a lot of your audience out. That's tough. Like, I didn't even anticipate every song to be all Spanish. And even if you're trying to go into it, say, I want to like this, is a bit of a tough watch because you just don't know a lot of what's going on.
I just don't know the words. I don't know the songs. That was my trick. I thought it was actually a really entertaining halftime show. Like if, for example, you're at a party and you're just watching and you can't hear the music or you can't hear the lyrics or whatever. I thought it was one of the best halftime shows ever. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't know any of the songs. So I think I just felt old. I think that more than anything else, I'm like, I'm enjoying this. But it was a little bit like when The Weeknd did his Super Bowl halftime show a couple years ago. That I wasn't super familiar with The Weeknd prior to him doing Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then he did the Super Bowl. I'm like, this guy's great. You know what I mean? And maybe it'll be a similar reaction for me with Bad Bunny, because I feel like the one in LA a couple years ago with Snoop and Jay-Z and all these guys, like that was for our generation. I don't feel like last night's Super Bowl halftime show was for the 40-year-olds.
No.
That was for the kids, I feel like, which I totally understand.
It was for a more international audience and a younger audience. Like all of us, this actually includes Damien and John, we're kind of debating when Conrad was leaving studio this morning as well, kind of Bad Bunny, where he is, this, that. I can tell you, like, my kids know a bunch of his songs. And like Damien was, he said, hey, because Greg was like, is he mainstream? And John was like, no, he's not mainstream. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like for the younger audience, I think he probably is. And that's one thing that's really hard for us. It's like when we do these celebrity birthdays.
Yeah.
And we look up, like, whose birthday is today? It's like Joe Capoto, YouTube star, so-and-so Instagram influencer, Billy Cajilli, YouTube personality. And
Billy
like,
Cajilli.
who are these people? Literally never heard of them. You can be so much more famous in non-traditional ways. And I'm not saying Bad Bunny is non-traditional by any sense of the imagination, but you can be so much more popular in so many other ways than the way people our ages consume things.
100%.
That it's easy to say, nobody even knows who he is, or nobody even knows that guy. And it's just not the reality. I'm telling you, if you have a youth baseball player between the ages of like 8 and 14, you probably heard a lot of his songs as these stupid walk-up songs that all these kids get, which is egregious in and of itself. Like, it is. It's like they all love his stuff. They all listen to him. And I get it. There's a lot of, it became very easy for people to not like before it even happened. I understand that. And if that's the way you wanted to go with it, great. It's fine. You do what you want to do, man. I don't care. But I was going to watch it to see what it looked like and see how it went down. And I came away from it it was wild watching it because my wife immediately says, oh, that's Ricky Martin. And I was like, hold on, what?
I didn't know it was Ricky Martin until this morning.
Right out of the gate, she said it. And she goes, oh, Jessica Alba's down there. And I was like, where? Now I'm in.
No, I didn't see that.
No, she picked her out like immediately. And she goes, I think Cardi B's down there too. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Pedro Pascal was just off to the side.
Well, I've seen the photographs since. Which, by the way, that couple actually did get married in the halftime show.
I had assumed that might be a real marriage.
Apparently, they invited him to their wedding, and he couldn't go. And so, to reward them, he wed them during his halftime show.
That's a boss move.
You talk about an icebreaker.
Right.
Where'd y'all get married? Santa Clara.
I mean,
what part? Levi's Stadium. Did y'all have many people there? About 80,000.
100 and some odd million around the world.
A lot more than that. A lot more than that,
no
tuned
doubt.
in.
Minus 10.
Pretty cool, though. Just think about, like, if you're able to get that worked out and able to make that happen.
Yeah, like if you just remove like the political nature of everything in our life now, like, and you just want to watch something for entertainment's sake, like it was pretty entertaining. I just don't know the songs.
That's it.
So I don't know. Is that a me thing? Am I old? Yes, I acknowledge that.
There were a lot of people on social media saying the same thing.
But Greg. I think there's a lot. To me, the Super Bowl halftime show should appeal to everybody. Like, and there should be 25 people that sing during the Super Bowl halftime show. Someone that my dad can relate to, someone that my 7-year-old can relate to. Like, I wanted to bridge the gap to all. So like, if you start with U2 and then finish with Bad Bunny, that's amazing. Like, to me, that's ideal. Just cast the widest net possible because you have people from all walks of life, all different generations that are watching this 20-minute halftime show. And I don't feel like they do that very often. They kind of pick a lane, they stay in the lane, which is nothing wrong with that either. But I mean, I think most of the people my age are like, I don't know any of the songs. I think my dad probably said the same thing. Mom probably said the same thing. And the kids are like, this is the greatest show of all time. But ultimately, They got us. I'm probably going to watch Super Bowl next year. Just going to go on a limb. Just going to tell you, I'm probably going to watch football. I'm probably going to watch the NFL. I'm probably going to watch it. You have me. Yeah. Congratulations, Shield. You have me. I'm not going anywhere. But if their goal is to grow internationally, if their goal is to grow amongst the youth, if their goal is to be here for 50 more years at this level, you better start engaging international and you better start engaging youth. And I think it makes sense to pick halftime performances that would go after that demographic, for sure.
But I think the hard part for a lot of people, you welcomed Lady Gaga in, that you've had 5, 6, 7 different acts essentially during one halftime show that you could have taken some sort of a turn to where what you just stated wouldn't have been accurate for the entire halftime show.
Yeah.
And you would have welcomed someone in that, okay, we know a lot of these words, and it's, listen, you want to do some of it in Spanish, great, good for you. No, that's not a problem, but I feel like you definitively exclude a lot of your audience when we can't obtain any of what just happened.
100%.
Now, I will say this, like, not knowing what was being said, I did feel, I walked away feeling like I told my wife, I said, I think he's essentially telling his life story here of like how he got to where he is. That was my perception of it, of what I thought was happening. I still don't know. I still have no idea exactly what was going down. I mean, I know there's a lot of people walking around dressed up like plants, but was that to move during the show? I don't know.
I don't know.
Did they all stay stationary?
I thought
the plants were going to dance at one point. I never saw them dancing.
I thought it looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
I thought the whole thing
awesome.
looked awesome. That I liked, like the costumes, the dancing. I thought it was highly entertaining. My buddy made a pretty interesting point though. Like there's such a way, if you want to cast a global net, like there is such a way to be able to do that. He goes, dude, they're going to Australia next year. You got their first ever game in Australia. How about we just throw AC/DC in for a half song? You know what I mean? Like he played 12 songs in the medley. Like throw AC/DC in, Australian rock band. Like, hey, we're going to Australia. Remember that? Like the NFL, I think, could do that if they wanted to. And that would have been pretty cool. Like, oh yeah, hey, by the way, we're going to be in Australia next year. Here's AC/DC. You know, that would have been sweet. Oh, hey, by the way, we're playing 2 games in Wembley. Here's you 2. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Or we're going to Dublin. Like give me an Irish band. Like whatever. Ed Sheeran. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I think it'd be, the NFL is just such a machine. And they know us as American consumers, like we're going to be there. Like, so they're not worried about us. They're worried about growth.
But with where we are, would you not spend a little time being concerned about the small portion that is threatening to walk or maybe has walked?
Because the small portion that's been threatening to walk has been threatening to walk for years. And it's still football. Like people still love football.
So next year you're going to get Rio, Mexico City, 3 in London, Madrid, Paris, Munich, and Melbourne. It'll be more international games than has ever been played in a single season in the NFL. So that is obviously a major, it's of major importance for the NFL to do that and to continue to build that, which we understand. If you have to, listen, I worked for a company that fires you when you don't show significant growth, no matter how good your numbers are. That was the most important facet of what you did. And I was actually fired for not doing that, even though my numbers were good. So if these NFL owners are sitting there saying, you better keep growing our money.
100%.
Like, yeah, we've been making $500 million for the last 20 years. You better get us to 700 in the next decade, or you're in trouble and you're out of here.
100%.
And Roger Goodell probably likes making $60 million a year or whatever it is he's making, and he doesn't want that to go away. So therefore, he's going to do what it takes to find that growth. And internationally is the only way to go. I feel like there are some different ways you could do it. My thought on a lot of this is the people who are angry about what it was and what it was going to be. Like if there were other people who, this is why some of it bothers me. And I realize that some of our audience won't like this, but this is kind of where I am on it. If people wouldn't have told you to be mad at it, would you have just been mad at it if it happened? And that's what bothers me about it, because I got no problem with the dude, but then I see these headlines and it's like, all right, good for him. I don't care. Like it doesn't affect me. I don't care that much about it. So if it truly affected you, I feel like you would have already known about it. Like things that bother me, I know about. And the reason they bother me is because I know about them. It's not because someone told me about it. So it can't be that big of a deal if you had no idea what was happening. That's where I kind of look at it and say, what are we doing? but it is what it is. It's part of where we are and maybe part of where we're going. Don on the Higginbotham hotline wants to chime in. Welcome in, Don.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thank
Morning.
you for taking my call. Yeah, you guys hit it on the nose about the halftime show first, and I'll talk about the game in a minute. Cole and Greg and everybody, I'm 64 years old, so Bad Bunny's a little bit too old for me. And Cole, you'll appreciate this. The only reason I know who he was because he was in WrestleMania or a wrestling show one night.
SummerSlam, I believe it was, and it's still the greatest wrestling intro I've ever seen. Not even close. And I'm not super into wrestling anymore. I saw that because Conrad Thompson sent that to me. I didn't know it happened. And he's like, you need to just watch the intro. You don't have to watch the match. Just watch the intro. And if you hadn't seen it, Google it and watch it. It is unbelievable. I don't think you have seen one that's better, but nonetheless.
Yeah, actually, he did a pretty good job wrestling, too. Not bad.
Thank you, Don.
How about the game Derek Hall had?
Great game. I mean, it's cool to see it because there were people that questioned that pick, said didn't have the length, wasn't as flexible, as bendy as some of the traditional edge guys. Was it going to work out? Thought it was a bit of a stretch, too early on him. And by the way, if you've ever met him, he's just an awesome human being in and of itself. And then you read about the fact, or you learn about the fact that doctors said he wasn't going to live. If I'm not mistaken, he was born without a heartbeat, which is, first off, like, how are you where you are today? And that's the case. I think he was born at 20-some weeks. And he's an amazing story as a human in and of itself to just be alive, much less be playing in the NFL. He's an awesome human being when you get to know him. So he was really cool. Like we mentioned the ties to Alabama and Auburn earlier. Like Josh Bynes is an assistant coach for the Seahawks. Nehemiah Pritchett, assistant coach for the Seahawks. Like pretty cool to see those guys doing what they're doing and be able to get Super Bowl rings.
Super cool.
As well. So listen, more aspects of the game, more aspects of the halftime show when we come back next right here on Jocks. All right, we will roll some of the advertisements into hour number 2 as well. What'd you think of some of the commercials? We'll talk about some of those. I tried to make this big in my house yesterday. I was like, listen, guys, this is the one thing for all of us. My daughter's not into sports. She just isn't. Like, it's not her thing. And I get it. She gets yanked into basketball games and baseball games and practices. And, like, I kind of feel bad for her at times. Like, we watch I want to watch football with the boys. I want to watch basketball. My boys are into everything. And it's like, sometimes she's just over there in the corner. So, like, she had a hard time really getting her into. I was like, listen, halftime show, commercials. She was into about a quarter and a half, and she's like, can I just go do something else? I'm like, you do you. You do what you need to do. But I felt like some of the commercials would reel her in early. Mm-hmm. I'm like, when she sees 4 or 5 like really funny commercials, because we actually were flipping around before the game, and NFL Network had like the greatest Super Bowl commercials all time.
Ooh, nice.
And I think the top 2, and you voted, and it was funny because she wanted to vote for the Budweiser Clydesdale puppy commercial where the puppy keeps coming back.
Yeah.
It's a great commercial. I'd forgot about it.
It's a good one.
And the boys wanted to vote for Jordan Bird, McDonald's commercial playing horse.
Shooting,
Nothing but net.
Oh, that was a long time
so
ago.
she's like, tell me who's winning. Like, that was the only thing that reeled her in because the first few commercials, they just weren't great.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything super dynamic. There were a couple that got a decent laugh that we thought were, it's pretty good, whatever. But I didn't walk away with multiple commercials thinking, we'll be talking about that in 10 years, 20 years. Like, ad executives are going to be using that one. Like, I thought the potato chip commercial with the dad handing over the farm was kind of cool. Like, tug at your heartstrings a little bit. But then
that was good.
Then was that Lay's? Then you come back at the end of the game and you got a guy talking about we use real potatoes. Walk around. I'm like, buddy, that's not your farm. We already saw the guy give the girl the farm. Why is this guy doing this commercial?
All the Blaze is not done on one farm.
I get it, but it's like you set the table there. Like, she was in the on deck circle. Now show her at bat and let her go do the whole thing. You can't pull those ruse on me, Lays. Was there one that stuck out for you, Greg?
Yeah, definitely the Bald Eagle Budweiser commercial.
Of course.
Budweiser. I mean, it was
Talk
a no
about coming
doubter.
full circle.
I mean, it was a no doubter. It was not. First of all, you just are constantly reminded how awesome Bald Eagles are. Freebirds is one of the greatest American songs of all time.
I didn't think you like birds though.
I don't like how
he did leave like 2 or 3 species of birds that he said were not disgusting.
No, Bald Eagle not.
Good. Okay.
Bald Eagle, totally support.
Let me stop you here because we had a surprise birthday party for a friend Friday night.
Yeah.
And I needed you there as a part of this discussion.
Was it a parakeet party?
The discussion was, and by the way, really impressed at the intelligence of this guy's 8-year-old.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say the bird.
He asked his dad. He said, because they're big into fishing and they fish a lot. Mm-hmm. And he said, there are certain fish that are kind of bottom feeders. You don't really eat those.
Yes.
Like I don't want triggerfish, maybe one of them. I forget what it was. And then he was talking about like, catfish would be kind of the lowest end of fish that people still eat, whatever. And they started talking about like birds and hunting and whatnot. And he goes, how come nobody, we were at the beach. And he goes, Dad, how come nobody eats seagull?
It's well said.
That's a great point.
And I was like, the fact that he thought to ask that at 8 is like really impressive, by the way, because no one asked that question.
No.
Because they were talking about fish that nobody eats because I guess they threw 1 or 2 back. And he's like, well, how come nobody eats seagull? And I was like, well, I said, think about what they eat.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of like the raccoons of the beach. Like people just throw them. Other than Alka-Seltzer, I mean, they'll eat just about anything.
I mean, it's well said.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just like to follow up your point of how gross a lot of birds are.
Correct.
I mean,
seagulls are beach pigeons. That's what they are.
Yeah.
They're beach pigeons.
100%. Nobody eats pigeon.
No. Well, not unless you have to. I mean, desperate times call for
I've never
desperate
come
measures.
across a have to, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think in this day and age, pigeons on the table. But it depends on what the market does today. I mean, pigeon could be dinner. Anyways, you look at the Super Bowl though, and the commercials. I thought overall kind of an underwhelming year.
Yes.
But then again, I think we say this every year. I went back and just out of sheer curiosity, I've looked at show notes, like at post Super Bowl show notes. I have them forever. You guys know how I have my stuff. I went back. I'm like, underwhelming commercials the year before that. Underwhelming commercials. Like, I think we, from a nostalgic standpoint, always think back to the commercials that we grew up with, and they're not as good as the Budweiser frogs. Oh, it's not as good as why is that?
Don't say Bud Bowl, because nothing was as good as Bud Bowl.
Okay, whatever.
So that
all
will
I'm
forever
saying
be
is,
the GOAT of
to me, the
commercials.
best Super Bowl commercial of all time is when the guy gets in the limo. He's like, first time in a limo, Mr. Galactowitz, one this small. Like, that to me is one of the best commercials of all time, the Miller Lite commercial or whatever.
I was going to say, so good, I don't even remember it.
It's so good. And there's a million of them that are outstanding.
Right.
But I think that our kids will probably look at these Super Bowl commercials like, oh, man, I remember that one when the father-daughter one, the Freebird bald eagle on the Clydesdale. Like, I think we just nostalgically kind of like the ones from our generation.
Yeah, they're never going to – it's like we talk about who you think the greatest football players are or generation of football. Whenever it was most impressionable to you, you're going to think that was the best. So in our early teen years or adolescent years, when we first thought the Super Bowl was the greatest thing ever, those commercials are probably going to be best. But it does feel like there was a little more creativity and it hit home a little bit harder back in the day. I'm not going to say every year has been a letdown constantly, but this year felt like there were less dynamic commercials that just immediately grabbed your attention. We'll discuss it more next.